As the dawn breaks, Telemachus wakes, dresses, and gets ready for the day. The son of Odysseus orders the heralds to call an assembly of the leading men of Ithaca. Telemachus enters the assembly carrying a spear and flanked by 2 hounds. He takes the seat of Odysseus, and Athena puts upon him a silver grace. The old hero Aegyptius speaks first, asking who called the assembly and what his business is. Telemachus rises and stands in the middle of the assembly. He addresses them, speaking first to Aegyptius. You won't have to look very far to find out who called this assembly. I called it myself. No, I have not had news of the army's return, any early report I would tell you about, nor is there any other public matter I want to address. It's a private matter, my own need. Trouble has come to my house in 2 forms. First, I have lost my noble father. He was your king once, and like a father to all of you, gentle and kind. And now there is even greater trouble, far greater, which will destroy my house and home. Suitors have latched on to my mother, against her will, and they are the sons of the noblest men here. They shrink from going to her father, Icarius' house, so that he could arrange his daughter's dowry and give her away to the man he likes best. Instead, they gather at our house day after day, slaughtering our oxen and sheep and fat goats, living high and drinking wine recklessly. We've lost almost everything because we don't have Odysseus to protect our house. We can't defend ourselves. If it came to a fight, we would only show how pathetic we are. Not that I wouldn't defend myself if I had the power. Things have gone too far. The ruin of my house has become a public disgrace. You should all be indigent and feel shame before your neighbors, and fear the wrath of the gods who may yet turn against you. I beg you, by Olympian Zeus and by Themis, who calls and dismisses assemblies of men, stop this, my friends, and let me be alone in my grief. Unless my father, Odysseus, was your enemy and did you some harm, and now you are paying me back in malice by urging these suitors on. Better for me if you yourselves, Ithacans all, were to eat up my treasures and flocks, then I might get restitution some day. I'd go through the town and bend people's ears and ask for our goods until they were all given back. But there is nothing I can do now. There's no cure for what you are making me suffer now. Telemachus breaks into tears. No one responds except Antinous. Antinous mocks Telemachus and tells him that the fault lies not with them, the suitors, but with his mother, Penelope, who refuses to remarry even though Odysseus has been gone for 20 years. Antinous tells about one of Penelope's tricks to forestall the suitors. She set up a great loom in the main hall and started weaving a sizable fabric with a very fine thread, and she said to us, "Young men, my suitors, since Odysseus is dead, eager as you are to marry me, you must wait until I finish this robe. It would be a shame to waste my spinning. A shroud for the hero Laertes when death's doom lays him low. I fear the Achaean women would reproach me if he should lie in death shroudless for all his wealth." We were persuaded by this appeal to our honor. Every day she would weave at the great loom, and every night she would unweave by torchlight. She fooled us for 3 years with her craft, but in the 4th year, as the seasons rolled by, and the moons waned, and the days dragged on, one of her women who knew all about it told us, and we caught her unweaving the gloried shroud. Then we forced her to finish it. Now here's the suitor's answer to you, and let every Achaean hear it well. Send your mother away with orders to marry whichever man her father likes best. But if she goes on like this much longer, torturing us with all she knows and has, all the gifts Athena has given her, her talent for handiwork, her good sense, her cleverness, all of which go far beyond that of any of the heroines of old, Tyro or Alcmene or garlanded Mycene, not one of whom had a mind like Penelope's, even though now she is not thinking straight. We will continue to eat you out of house and home for as long as she holds to this way of thinking which the immortal gods have put in her breast. She is building quite a reputation for herself, but at your expense. As for us, we're staying put until she chooses one of the Achaeans to marry. Telemachus tells him that he can't kick his own mother out of his father's palace. He tells the suitors again to leave him alone and feast in their own houses, or Zeus will cause the destruction of them all. At this, Zeus sends a sign of 2 eagles, which the old seer Halitherses interprets thusly: "Hear me, men of Ithaca, and I mean the suitors especially, since a great tide of woe is rising to engulf them. Odysseus shall not be away from his home much longer. Even now he is near, sowing death for the suitors, one and all, grim for them, and grim for many others who dwell on Ithaca. But let us take thought now of how to make an end of this, or better, let the suitors themselves make an end. I am no inexperienced prophet, but one who knows well, and I declare that everything is coming true for that man, just as I told him when he left for Troy, that after bitter pain and loss of all comrades, he would finally reach home after 20 years, unknown to anyone. Now it is all coming true." Eurymachus, one of the suitors, rebukes the old prophet. He says that Odysseus is dead, and threatens Telemachus and the old man. Eurymachus tells Telemachus to send Penelope back to her father's house so he can pick out a suitable husband for her. Telemachus responds and says that he is done asking the suitors to leave him alone. He tells them that he is taking a ship and going to Sparta and Pylos to seek news of Odysseus. If Odysseus is alive, Telemachus says he will hold out 1 more year, but if his father is dead, he will come home, have a funeral for him, and marry off his mother. Mentor, an old friend of Odysseus, then rises and speaks. "Hear me now, men of Ithaca. Kings might as well no longer be gentle and kind, or understand the correct order of things. They might as well be tyrannical butchers, for all that any of Odysseus's people remember him. A godly king, as kind as a father. I have no quarrel with the suitors. True, they are violent and malicious men, but at least they are risking their own lives in devouring the house of Odysseus, who, they say, will never return. It is the rest of the people I am angry with. You all sit here in silence and say nothing, not a word of rebuke to make the suitors quit, although you easily outnumber them." Leocritus, another one of the suitors, attacks Mentor and says Telemachus doesn't have it in him to leave Ithaca and learn about the fate of Odysseus. The assembly ends and the suitors return to the house of Odysseus. Telemachus goes down to the shore and prays to Athena. Athena comes to him, taking on the voice and form of Mentor. She tells him that she will help him get a ship ready and gather a crew to sail it. She tells Telemachus to go back to his home and gather food and drink for the journey. Telemachus returns home and argues with the suitors some more before getting the supplies ready. Athena goes throughout the town, taking on the form and voice of Telemachus. She gathers sailors and borrows a fast ship from Neumann. When all is ready, she goes back to Telemachus and tells that the ship is ready. Telemachus goes down to the shore and speaks to the sailors. "This way, men! We have provisions to haul. Everything's ready at my house. My mother knows nothing of all this, nor do any of the women, except for one I told." So they go up to the palace to bring the food and wine back down to the ship. Then they set the ship up, pour libations to the gods, and sail through the night and into the dawn.